Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy Phenoms MLB DFS Sheets Explained video. I'm Kyle, that's Baby Ichiro, and Jer Bear.
What's up, fellas?
Say hi, Theo.
Hi.
So basically what we're going to do in this video is break down how to use the sheets, what each tab means, and kind of overall the way to build your lineups around them and the different tools that each of the tabs provide. So first off, you have here the weather sheet, right? It's the very first sheet on the tab. By the way, we're going to use today's tabs for reference. On this, Jeremy goes in there and he enters the temperature, the weather, the wind blowing in and out, the Vegas implied opening, and the Vegas closing line. So I know a lot of people are big on, line movement and whether the line moves up, down, back and forth, side to side. So the teams all the way to the left, right? Arizona, Atlanta, Baltimore, Boston. And then this is the open, this is the close. So as you see today, Baltimore had an implied run movement positive. Chicago had one that went negative or down. So Jeremy takes care of this entire sheet, knocks it out, and that's how that goes. Then we have the 3 recent stats tabs, and these are based on 14-day averages. It's 14 days versus left-handed pitching versus right-handed pitching, and 14 days overall. This just kind of gives you an overall sense of what each what each team has been doing versus the pitching hand. You can cross-reference it with obviously the pitcher they're facing. And here I have the strikeout percentage, the team WOBA, and the team ISO in that time span. So, super easy. And now the money. The home run sheet. Jeremy, what was you're the madman behind this. What was your thought process in building this?
Yeah, again, this is a quick analysis on basically every player on the slate. We're looking for key characteristics that would, demonstrate a player that's going to hit the ball really hard and either get a double or a home run, or in favorable matchups with the pitcher, or have favorable climate, weather or Vegas implications. So with the scoring, we're just looking for players that are over 10%. As close to 10% or higher would demonstrate those kind of elite characteristics for a hitter. Obviously, anyone that's close over 10% and closer to 30 demonstrates a player that either has superior stats in the past that would match up to which would demonstrate a good matchup for the day, or they're just an elite one-off for that day. Everything about them matches up for that matchup on that specific day. So a good example would be like Aaron Judge. He's probably always going to be 30%. His numbers are just elite. He has one of the top exit velocities in MLB. He's a hard contact hitter. But you may see other guys throughout the week that get 30%, and it's just because of their matchup for that day. So it fluctuates. It's taking into consideration a lot of things you already consider, and it's just a chance. It's an increased chance of that person hitting a home run. It's not a guarantee. It's not, play the guys in green and they will get you a home run. It's increasing your odds, and it shows you where the stacks are in the team to increase your odds.
Exactly. And so, for example, as I scroll down here, Baltimore was some of the hot bats today. And when we look at Baltimore, you see all this green. Chris Davis was 30%. So the highest number a player can get is the 30% chance. And again, remember, it's a chance. So 3 and 10 is a really good outcome for a baseball player, right? 3 hits and 10 at bats. As Jeremy noted, this is not a guaranteed home run. These are the guys with the highest percent chance. You're always going to see an Aaron Judge, a Chris Carter, a Giancarlo Stanton. These guys have elite power stats, and they are always going to be most likely in the green and up in the upper echelon. And with that, you're going to have guys that are good plays that aren't in green, and the reason for that is they are power stats. So, for example, you will never, ever, ever see Billy Hamilton in the home run sheet as green. He's not a power hitter. This measures power statistics. That doesn't mean he's not a good play, but this is a tool to use because we do know the home run is all or nothing in MLB, right? It is the stat that really separates you from the rest of the field. So remember to take that into consideration. And of course, as Jeremy said, just the higher the number, the higher chance. It's not a guarantee, but it doesn't mean you go out and roster every guy that's 30% either. For example, Trey Mancini is 30% because of the number of home runs he's had already this year in his limited sample size. His power statistics are real, but he's in a cold streak right now. So you have to take other factors into consideration. Who's another guy that's been super hot? Eric Thames has been like...
Eric Thames.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's been 30% all year, and he'll continue to be until he has a larger sample size. But I don't think we can really argue that he's a threat to hit a home run 3 out of 10 times. So that's that. The next sheet is literally just the home run. This is, if you're looking for one-offs, it's obviously a little unsorted right now because we've been messing with it, but this is going to show you the top guys from 30 down. All the way, everyone that's in the green, and it's just to find one-offs, things of that nature, so you can kind of find the guys that we think, or that the home run sheet shows as elite power threats.
Yeah, I like to use this sheet when I finish my lineup and I'm trying to fill that that shortstop spot or that second base spot. That's usually not a great spot to find a batter, and this is a good sheet to look up and sometimes reference some guys that I didn't think of that might hit a home run. Just plug them in as a one-off.
Yeah. All right, and then the pitcher percentage. This I gotta say, so this is another thing Jeremy has kind of constructed, and it's genius. So it'll never be 100% right. There's always going to have plays that are, that miss. But one thing it's done really, really, really well on is finding those cheap guys in good spots that are cheap because they haven't had, they're recently called up or they had bad luck and a high ERA, things of that nature. Last week, Adam Wainwright went out and put up 40 points. He was how much, Theo? Like 7,000?
Yep.
And then Alex Meyer the same day.
59,000 or 5.9.
Yeah. Both of those guys top of the list on this pitcher sheet. As you see here, Marcus Stroman is second best on this main slate tonight. And I think we can clearly see he's having a great game. It's 9-0, bottom of the sixth right now. So, it's working. We'll see how Ryu does. Marquez had a really good game today. Montgomery's struggling a little bit. Obviously, the rest of these guys. Danny Duffy was a miss. The sheets didn't like him as much. He's obviously balling. But recency bias will tell you that he also hasn't been great. You have Julio Teheran down at the bottom. Saw him get blown up. So they do a really, really good job of identifying them. And I know we get a lot of questions on what these categories mean. So we're still kind of testing it. We're finding out which one is the best. I think we're leaning towards this fourth one, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, that fourth one is the best indicator. It takes in the most factors that we want to include, and it's a good reflection of the pitcher for that given day. I don't think it's for every. You can't forecast the season or anything, but for that day, that's a good pitching option. The higher the percentage, the better, obviously.
Exactly. And so what this does is it takes into consideration the pitcher's base score that the sheet gives him. It then affects it based on the opponent, and then based on the line movement from Vegas. So those three create this score. The ins and outs of it, obviously, is not on here, but just know that those are the three factors that build up this final number right here. And one thing we really use it to see is this base score to the end line. So Marcus Stroman went up over 4.5% today based on his opponent and run line from his base score. So that's something that's huge to me. I think we factor that in a lot, like how the pitcher moves from his base score.
Yeah, that's key. That if he goes up from his base score, that really says he's crossed a lot of hurdles in our analysis, and he's an elite play for the day.
Exactly. Now Theo's favorite sheet ever. Theo, I'll let you explain this one.
I call this the God sheet. This sheet basically gives you BVP kind of with the matchup WOBA, plus your ISO, everything you'll find on the other sheets all in one spot. And it just makes research super quick, super easy for everybody that works way too many hours like I do. I can go in, research in like 20 minutes, find my pitcher, find my hitters.
So how do you use it to find your batters and pitchers?
So first, I look for my pitchers because you miss on pitcher, you're probably not cashing at all. So I look for the team that has the most red in their matchup WOBA. I look at who the pitcher is, and if you scroll down to Danny Duffy,
Okay.
the Yankees.
So right.
So this is why I was going to play Danny Duffy today, because if you look at all that red in the matchup WOBA. So I look for the red in the matchup WOBA, and then whoever has the most red is going to be my pitcher, but I do not factor in rookies and teams that have never faced a pitcher before, because obviously the matchup WOBA is going to go down because they don't have a BVP.
Okay. And so one thing, for those that don't know what matchup WOBA is, it's a formula that we created. It takes into account the batter's overall WOBA, the pitcher's overall WOBA, and if there is a large enough sample size, the WOBA versus that pitcher. And that's how you formulate a matchup WOBA. If you scroll over here to the right, you'll see all the rankings. So WOBA is considered above average if they're at 340 or above. Average is 320. 310 or below is below average, and obviously 400 is the highest threshold. So they're indicated by colors to make it really easy and really simple to read. And one thing that you use this for is look across the board. So these are the 4 power statistics: WOBA, matchup WOBA, ISO, hard contact, and fly ball percentage. As you can see, Freddie Freeman, who obviously is not playing today, is green in all 4 stats. So he has an elite ISO, elite hard contact, high fly ball rate. You need a fly ball to hit a home run, right? And a matchup over 350, which is above average. So that's kind of how you use the sheets to find great plays. Let's see, another one is Chris Davis, right? 362 matchup WOBA, 306 ISO, 47% hard contact, and 45% fly ball rate. So what that's saying is when he makes contact with the ball, he's most likely going for extra bases.
Yep.
And to kind of bring this all together, this is exactly how we try and simplify the research for you, right? So from these 3 sheets, the home run percentage, the pitcher percentage, and the batter matchups, you can kind of eliminate and build a player pool. So you start with, one of the sheets and you build a player pool. And then you're going to start to minimize it as you see, this guy, if he fits on all 3 sheets or 2 of the sheets, I would say he's a good play. Or he has a good chance of being a good play. There is no locks in baseball. There never will be. Never have been. And one way to use the pitcher sheet is to find pitchers to target. Pitchers to target and stack against, and then take it to the home run percentage and the batter matchups and find if the batters against him are good. So Danny Duffy was red in the pitcher sheet, but the Yankees were also red against him. So at that point, I would have said fade the Yankee bats and probably fade Danny Duffy.
Yep.
I mean, Danny Duffy went out and had a good game, but I wouldn't. The conflicting usually is not a good sign.
Yeah, you want a positive trend all across the board. If anything conflicts, there's just more risk, and that's not a good place to put your money.
Exactly.
But I'm crazy, so I do it.
Yeah, you can take risks. There's some reward with risk, though. But
Absolutely.
Like I told everybody, play. Who was it? Rays against Salazar. They
Yep.
blew that boy up,
yeah, definitely.
and I think he was like the number one pitcher on the pitcher sheet.
Yes.
So hot bat and cold bat. I mean, it's exactly what it says. These are the guys over the last 7 days that have been hot. These are the last 7 days that have been cold. Just kind of helps identifying, guys are in a cold streak, and not to play them, etc. Pretty self-explanatory. And then we have the game sheets. So these, on the show, obviously we used to show all these stats. This kind of breaks it down, all the power stats again. So I want to remind you guys that these stats, we value the home run a ton in baseball, or in DFS. And so these stats are built around power. Where's Cincinnati at? I'll show you what I mean exactly. So Cincinnati, right? Billy Hamilton is red across the board. He's not a guy that hits for a lot of extra bases. His ISO is really, really low. Hard contact is low. That's just not Billy Hamilton's game. He's a guy that gets on first and steals a bag. Now, these stats don't have the stolen bases on them because you have to get on first to get a stolen base, but we will work on adding those stats in. But these, again, are going to highlight the power statistics. It's the same stats you see on the batter matchups tab, but it also includes their FanDuel DraftKings price, their position eligibility, and their bat handedness.
I was just on the base stealing aspect. If you're going to target a base stealer, make sure it's versus a right-handed pitcher. That just makes the odds a lot better for the base stealer. I noticed that's what Billy Hamilton likes to target. Trey Turner likes to target that a lot. Just something to think about.
Yeah.
Or fast guys against John Lester.
Yeah, there are certain lefties you can target, absolutely. So you just have to kind of know, and that's something we're going to work on integrating as we get more advanced into the pitcher-catcher relationships, the release of the ball. They're not on the sheets right now, but they will be added in as we are able to. Just obviously have to prioritize where we go. So this is how you use the game sheets, at least. Another thing with the game sheets is the pitcher tab, right? So it shows you these are running 2-year stats. So versus left-handed hitters, this is what Amir Garrett has done in the last 2 years. Obviously, that's only this year for him. Versus right-handers, away because he's on the road, and 2-year average overall and 2017 overall. So you can kind of see, for example, who's the guy that we're looking at today that has been struggling. We were looking at Danny Duffy today, right? So his K percentage is way down this year at 16%. So it kind of gives you an idea of how the guy is pitching this year relative to his stats average, and whether you can see some, he's going to bring it up, or whether he is going to be due for some regression. Maybe he's pitching out of his mind right now.
Yeah, Duffy had a special game. I mean, he doesn't give up a lot of home runs, so he played really well today.
Exactly. All right. So then our BVP tab is simply that. Right. This is batter, first pitcher history.
Yep.
Nothing too crazy there. We've included bullpen stats over the last.
Kyle.
What?
Do you think people should look at BVP if they're using matchup over? Since BVP's taking it into account?
I think BVP is the last stat I use. I kind of look at it as a tiebreaker. And the reason I say that is I've seen so many guys that have been, and I quote, in good spots. They've had great history. And they haven't performed in the game, because the game is so volatile. Pitchers evolve, batters evolve. Take for example Chase Utley, right? He has 4 career home runs off of Matt Cain, but all of us would tell you don't take that into effect this year, right? Chase Utley is not the hitter he once was.
And Matt Cain's balling for some reason.
Yeah, that too. So right, so pitchers adjust and they change their style. And so BVP, I think, it's a cool stat, but I don't think it should be the number one thing you look at. In fact, I think it should be the very last thing you look at. If you're looking for like a tiebreaker, like, okay, this guy has good ownership, that's where I'll do.
I legit only looked at BVP twice this year.
Same here. And the only reason I did it was Matt Carpenter and someone else I remember. These sheets, they're kind of data mine sheets right now for me. They're not really, I mean, you can use them, absolutely. It's literally a data mine, so K percentage versus right versus left, home away, 2 years. So it's all the stats you see on the game sheets, but in one place if you want to compare pitchers that way. It's not the most organized, but it was the easiest way for me to reference them. Here is something that you can use. This is the stats. This is overall 2017 stats. It's the pitcher's average against them, their WOBA against them, home run per 9, strikeout percentage, hard contact against, fly ball against, and then the opponent's runs per game and K percentage. So you can kind of find guys that are, in good spots. So Jared Cozart, for example, today, high strikeouts for the Brewers. Zach Davies, also the Padres, right? Low runs per game, high strikeouts. So kind of how you use that. I personally don't use these stats. Do you guys use the batting projections or pitching projections?
No, get rid of it.
I usually use the pitching projections to just double check my pitcher. If I see a high K projection, and I really only use one column, so I use the K projection column, column N. If I see a high number in there and it matches up with the pitcher's projection, I know I got a good pitcher.
Exactly. So baseball is so volatile, I really don't believe in a number projection. I do it because I know other people value it. I refuse to use these sheets. I don't do it. I don't use the pitching, and not once this year have I looked at this batting projection tab. Not once.
Yeah, I don't touch that.
Baseball's just too volatile. One home run and the guy destroys his projection. But there's been too many times where a guy just gets 0 points because he didn't get on base. So it's a stats game. It's a chance game, and so I think that's what the tabs do a lot better. Finally, if you go this far deep, it's the team percentages. But these are all in the pitcher stats, and then the pricing for each site. But again, these are all on the stats as well. Okay, so let's go from this. Jeremy, when you build your rosters, what's the process you use and the order in which kind of you build them?
All right, the first thing I do is I check the weather. I go to that weather sheet. I check the weather. I look for favorable ballparks. I look for favorable Vegas lines, so high, over 4.5 runs, and increasing. So I look for the open to be in the 4s, and for it to be closing higher than 4.5. And then I pick batters from those games. That's pretty much what I start with for batters. For pitchers, I go to the pitcher sheet. I have pretty much good confidence in that model now, at least how to understand it. And I look for pitchers that the base score is increasing from the last column, like we talked about. So the base is comparing the base to the run chance base opportunity or opponent. The fourth column is higher than the base column. Mm-hmm. If I see that positive increase, I know it's a pitcher that's in a plus matchup across the board compared to the opponent, compared to Vegas's prediction, compared to our base scoring of the pitcher's skill set. And I then double check the batter pool that I have with the worst pitcher from the pitcher projection. So the bottom 5 guys on the pitcher projection, I make sure those guys are in my pool of batters, and are the right batters. So favorable hand. Like if it's a right-handed batter, I want left-handed hitters. If it's a left-handed batter, I want right-handed hitters for the most part. I may check a few guys that hit righties better than lefties if they're righty. It's very rare.
Reverse splits, kind
Um,
of.
yeah, and then to confirm everything, I check the batter matchup. Theo really kind of opened my eyes to that. It wasn't something I thought about before, but it worked in that Tampa stack recently, and it won me a lot of money. So that's something
Hey,
I added to the process, and yeah, I'm adding it to the process, and it really helps kind of confirm your thinking around who's a bad pitcher for the day and who's a good pitcher for the day, what batters to attack for the day, and what batters to choose. So that's kind of my process. I try to stick to it. Obviously, it changes for each slate. Some slates you got to get a little more creative, but
Exactly.
for Maine, I think that's the best approach.
Theo, what's your process from start to finish?
first, I wake up. I turn on my phone. I blink real hard because it's bright, and then I go look at the lines, the Vegas lines, check out the implied run totals, and then I keep an eye on that movement on the run totals until about an hour before lock. I go with the highest run total that's had the most positive movement since I woke up. It's like if the Cubs were at 5 at an hour before lock, but they had a negative line movement throughout the day, and then the Rangers had 4.9 but had a positive line movement throughout the day, I'm gonna play Rangers over Cubs
Okay.
because that tells me Cubs are probably gonna go under. And so then I look for those teams, and then I look at which one looks the best on the matchup wobas, and I pick. I usually do a 4-man stack with a 3-man stack and one off, and then basically do the reverse to find my pitcher. I look for uh, the lowest scoring team with the negative line movement and uh, red matchup woba. It's really quick for me. I don't have a lot of time to research, and it's been working out a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of stacking, yeah, I'm a big fan of the 4-man stack. Just because, I mean, if you get a bunch of guys on base and someone knocks them in, that's a lot of correlation. That's a lot of points, easy points, versus just one guy hitting a home run here and there. So I like 3 and 4-man stacks. I've been doing the 2-man stack thing lately, but actually haven't had good results with it. So going back to my 3 and 4-man.
I almost took down a GPP a couple days ago with the 4-man, 3-man, and one off.
Yep.
So I'm gonna stay on that.
So my process is a little different. I always find my pitcher first, um, or
So do I. So
or
it's the same.
or I always find the guy that I target first. So I go to the pitcher sheet before anything else, and I'm looking and I'm finding the guys that I think are going to be good plays and the guys that are going to be bad plays that I can stack against. So once I've identified some potential targets, I'm going to go to this home run sheet and I'm going to find some potential power stacks, right? So you got to target home runs in my opinion. And so I'm looking here, so it put me on Baltimore today. Chris Davis, Mark Trumbo didn't deliver, but Adam Jones did, Seth Smith did. So those guys, I'm gonna look to find the team with a lot of green. If they logically make sense, I'll stack them. So I take the guys in the green. I'm gonna go to the batter matchups, and I'm gonna make sure that they got good WOBA, good ISO, good hard contact, and then lastly, I want to make sure that they're not hot or they're not cold. Now, granted, a guy can bust out of a cold slump at any point in time, but numbers are not on your side in that sense, and it's not something I really want to target. A guy that's 0 for his last 15. From a GPP standpoint, you can make the argument for that absolutely, but if you're a cash player, risk is you got to be more risk averse in that sense. So that's kind of how I look at it. And then obviously the Vegas totals are huge. Vegas knows more than we do. They get information more than we do, and Vegas is in a money-making business. They're not gonna be oblivious to anything. They're gonna make sure their stats are on point, and they're gonna give themselves the best odds to win. So I follow their numbers, and more than not, they are right. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in business. So I think that's my process. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Like my dumbass faded the Cubs 2 days in a row.
I faded them today as well. I faded them 3 days in a row, and that wasn't kind to me on the early slate today.
And everything on the Vegas line said Cubs.
Yep.
Wind out, 20-mile-per-hour wind out. I mean, it was a Cubs day.
Yeah. So it's you kind of gotta. I think you listen to Vegas, man. They know what they're talking about. And then these home run sheets will give you a good starting point. The pitcher sheets, again, they're never going to be 100% right, and I can't drive this point home enough. Just because a guy is in green does not guarantee a home run. I hear it so much of these guys were all in green, but they didn't hit a home run. Well, again, it's a chance, right? These are increased chances. These are the guys with the best chance to hit a home run. It's never going to be a guarantee. So yeah, it's kind of how I look at it. Chris Bryant was 23% today, went and hit a home run. Nolan Arenado, 13, highest on the Rockies, went and hit a home run. So I mean, they do work, but nothing's a guarantee.
Yeah, I mean, the closest guy to a guarantee right now is Mike Trout.
Yeah.
And
hot.
Kind of like Freddie Freeman until he broke his hand. So they're just players that are really hot right now, but they could easily not be hot, and their stats say they're in a good spot. So you just have to, filter through that information.
Real quick, John wants
Kyle.
to... What?
John wants to know what type of contest we target.
Yeah, I was just getting there. Well, I'll let you go ahead and answer first, Theo. What contest do you target?
I usually play $2 or $5 GPP in 3 double ups in the main, and then on the smaller slates I usually just play double ups.
Okay. Jeremy, what contest do you usually do?
I play a lot of 50-50s. That's pretty much the bulk of my buying. And then I'll do usually $10, which are 3 lines in a multi-entry and $1 in a single entry. The three lines, I usually get really crazy. I go against Vegas. I confirm with Vegas, and then I just the third one is usually just random picks. My single entry is, my favorite stacks for the day. Usually a 4 or 3 man stack with a 1-off. Favorite pitcher from the pitcher percentage. I haven't really entertained the 3-mans. I tried them a couple times, and I've done a couple head-to-heads with a few sharks just to learn their process. But I've faded out a lot of that lately.
Okay. Yeah, I find myself in the single-entry GPPs, and I've been doing a lot of 50-50s lately for testing purposes. It's very hard for me to play free, so I play the 50-50s, which have the highest cashing rate, and I just test different strategies so I can make sure that these stats, and we go back, edit them, make sure that they're the most accurate they can be. So that's how I do it. I will say, if you are new to the game or trying to learn, play free contests, 3-mans or 50-50s, or head-to-heads for that matter. You can play head-to-heads as well. But those are often...
Me and Jeremy became geniuses at this by playing free for like 2 weeks.
Yep. Literally learned. I never played this in my life until this year, and that's how I learned how to do it. 2 weeks of just practice.
Straight free contest, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's where I would go. 50-50s or 3-mans or free contest if you don't want to put any money on the line. So, do you guys have any other points to add about the sheets, how to use them, anything I missed or we missed?
Every morning when you wake up, message Kyle and say sort matchup Wooba by team.
I forget to do that
That is
sometimes.
all.
I forget to do
I
that
would,
sometimes.
I would say on the home run sheet, even though a guy isn't in green, he could still hit a home run. Um, even guys close to 10%, even guys with 0% can hit a home run. It's really other factors or luck. I mean, these guys are professional baseball players. They're not scrubs at the end of the day. So they have the potential to do it. I think the home run sheet is just a better reflection of who has the highest opportunity given the matchup.
That's fair. I agree with that. So, all right. Well, that's all I had. I mean, I kind of explained all I had. If you guys think you covered everything, then I would say we're good.
Cool.
All right. So, any other questions, hit us up in Slack. We'll take care of you. As always, if you're interested in receiving these sheets, text or join that link down below. Take you to PayPal, get you a subscription set up, and then it'll invite you into the Slack group where you get to see me, Baby Ichiro, and Jerry Bear.
Watch anything but ordinary.
Yeah, we'll have another fun topic next week as well. So, all right, guys, thank you very much. Have a wonderful night, and good luck tomorrow.